and welcome back to my channel. It's time for another first impressions video, and this week I'm going to be taking a look at not only Huda Beauty's textured palette but also Tom Ford's jewel liner, as well as Urban Decay's new liquid lipstick. So we're going to jump right in there and let's get started. First up, we're going to prime our eyelids using Urban Decay's primer potion. I got a new primer potion. This is called Free Base, and it's meant to be a more white based primer. So I'm going to try that today to see whether or not that makes the colours really pop. The formula doesn't feel as thick with this as it does with the other primer potions. The other ones have a kind of thicker consistency to them. This is very sheer. It's definitely helped to reduce some of my natural pigmentation, so I'm really hoping that it works well to make the colours pop. Next up is Huda Beauty's textured palette. This is the rose gold edition. It comes in this cute little bag that also has her Huda emoji stickers in it as well, which are quite cute. This is the palette itself. When you take it out from its covering, it is very beautiful. I'm loving these colours. I will say that I am disappointed that it doesn't have a mirror. If you've been watching my channel for a while, you know that I'm a big believer that palettes should have mirrors, because then you can travel around with them. I mean, I like that you can see inside the palette straight away. I do like that, but I would prefer to have a mirror so that I don't have to take a mirror around with me. The colours themselves look absolutely gorgeous. These are the textured colours, and these ones you have to use your finger for. They're not designed really for brushes, they're more designed for your finger. I know I've seen a lot of people have negative opinions about it because you can't use a brush for it, but she does state that it is designed to use your fingers for, so I think people are kind of missing the point on that one. She's already told people that it's not really designed for brushes, it's more designed for your finger, so I'm not overly phased by that, but hopefully we're going to get some really good colour payout on this. There are some absolutely gorgeous colours in here, so I've got high hopes for it. I do have like a little bit of crumbling on black truffle, I think, in the mail getting here. It's a little bit cracked, but other than that it's all looking very, very pretty. And let's see what we can come up with today. I'm going to be using my favourite blending brush today. It's the Smith 230 blending brush. It is my favourite blending brush. It's so fluffy and soft and blends beautifully. So I hope that they'll be able to work really well with the palette and be able to come up with something quite pretty today. I'm going to start off with this really neutral tone. It's called Bay. It's this one right here. First thing I'm noticing with this is there's a little bit of fallout when you do dip your brush into the pan. There is a little bit of fallout on that. Next I'm going to go into Sandalwood, which is a beautiful transitional shade for my crease. I've got a bit of a thing for halo eyes at the moment, so now that I've got that transitional shade in my crease, I'm going to use some of the different colours to kind of make a bit of a halo eye. I'm next going to go in with Suede, which is another good transitional shade, just to build up the outer and inner corners a bit. I must say that I'm not seeing a great deal of payoff for this, which is a little bit disappointing, as the product itself sells for $65 US, so it is very pricey, and at the moment I'm not seeing a huge payout. A lot of people have compared this palette to the Anastasia Beverly Hills Modern Renaissance palette because the colours are quite similar. And I know that the Anastasia one is a lot cheaper than this one, and I've got that one and I do really like it. So far I'm not seeing as good a payout as I'd hoped, but hopefully some of the other colours are pigmented. Next I'm going to take my MAC 219 bullet brush and just put a little bit of Bossy. This is this shade here. Just going to put a little bit of that in the outer corners and inner corner. Taking that same brush, I'm going to dip it into Man Eater, which is this gorgeous red shade here, and again just in the outer corners. I am noticing that the colours don't blend as nicely as I would hope. They're a little bit patchy in places, which is quite disappointing. Again, you know, when you spend $65, you kind of expect the very best. Taking a flat shader brush, this is just a generic one from BH Cosmetics, I'm going to dip into Flamingo, this bright pink here. I'm going to use that as a base for my textured colour, which is going to go in the centre. So now I'm going to take that same bullet brush from before. I'm going to dip into Cocoa, which is this brownish shade here. I'm just going to put that underneath my eyes. Again, in the kind of halo way, I'll do just on the outside and in the inside, and I'll leave the centre for a little bit of colour. And then I'm probably going to fade it out with a bit of black truffle as well. For black truffle, I'm going to use a Sephora smudging brush and just do that on the outer corner only. The black is probably the most pigmented out of the lot of the colours that I've tried so far. But they don't blend as easily as I'd like, which is really disappointing. I had really high hopes for this palette, and whilst it is good, it's not the worst palette I've ever used. I just don't think it's worth the $65 I paid, and I think basically you're paying for a name, you're not paying for, you know, kind of good quality product, which is very disappointing. Now that the colours and everything are down, I'm going to go in with one of the textured eyeshadows. I think I'm going to use an Angelic for this look. I think it would work the best with the colours that I've got going on. So basically you just take your finger, you put it in and you put it on. That's how it's supposed to work. So fingers crossed for some good payout on this one, because so far I've been quite disappointed. It does look beautiful on the finger. Looks very pretty, so fingers crossed. Okay, that I love. That I do love. So basically you're paying for the textured shadows and none of the other shadows is what I'm feeling right now. As anyone who knows me will tell you, I am not a fan of using my fingers for putting on eyeshadow and things. So seeing as this is the actual purpose of this particular palette, I'm quite pleased with the outcome of that. I think that's a really beautiful colour, and I think there's some really good payoff for the textured shadows, just not the other shadows. Okay, so that's it for the Huda Beauty textured palette, Rose Gold edition. I love the colours, I do. However, I don't feel that the payoff is good enough, especially when you pay $65, you expect a lot more. I, however, do really like the textured shadows, and they do have some really good payoff on them. I think they're absolutely beautiful. The shimmer is fantastic. I absolutely adore it. It's just, I'm not a fan of the mattes. They don't pay off as well as I like. They don't blend as well as I like. But the colour choice was fantastic. Now on to eyeliner, and quite possibly the most expensive eyeliner I will ever buy in my life. This is by Tom Ford in the shade Deeper, which is black. This is actually $40 US, and it is very, very expensive. And the only reason why I bought it is because Nikki Tutorials was using it a lot on her channel, and she said how good it was. And I really like the idea of it being like a dual-ended eyeliner. One end is a brush tip, the other one is more of a felt tip. Taking it out of the packaging, it is really quite weighty. It's probably the weightiest eyeliner I've ever held, and it just feels beautiful. So it's definitely feeling worth the $40, but whether or not the product itself is worth it is another thing. One end, as I said, is a brush tip. And the other is a very fine felt tip. So I'm going to go in with the brush tip now and to do my wings, and I'll see whether or not it's actually worth the $40 and if it's good or not. Straight away, the fact that one end is heavier than the other makes it a little bit tricky to use, but it glides on beautifully. So first impressions on this Tom Ford eyeliner. Okay, I use the brush end on this side and I use the felt tip pen on this side, and surprisingly the felt tip pen worked better for me than the brush tip. I had a little bit of trouble getting this to be like as symmetrical as I wanted it to be, which is really strange because this is usually my good eye. This is usually the eye that I sit there and go, you're a good eye. I like you. Look at you. Beautiful, sharp, beautiful. But however, today it's this eye. This eye is doing me well. This is like, oh, hello. Look how sharp that line is. Oh. So I am loving this though. I am loving it. I love the brush tip. It's very soft. It's easy to use. The felt tip, again, easy to use, which is really bizarre because usually I fail epically and I end up, because I've got hooded eyes, I end up kind of smearing it up here somewhere with felt tip and going, why did I decide to do that? Why? So I'm actually really loving this, but the true test will be whether or not it lasts and whether or not it cracks or anything. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to wear this for a couple of hours and then come back and give you my thoughts on it. But I do have one more thing to do a first impressions on as well. So we're going to look at that first, and then I will go off, do some errands and things, and then come back and give you my final thoughts on it. But first impressions, I'm loving Tom Ford's dual eyeliner. So on to the final thing that I'm going to give a first impressions on today, which is the Urban Decay Vice Liquid Lipstick. I absolutely adore this colour. It's called Disturbed. This is in Comfort Matte. So I wanted to try these for a while. If you've watched me for a while, you'll know that I'm obsessed with liquid lipsticks, and I absolutely adore Urban Decay. So I've got really high hopes for this lipstick. I've seen some really kind of bad reviews about it though, so I'm a little bit nervous, but I do have high hopes because I love Urban Decay as a brand. So I'm going to apply this now, and like I said, I'm going to go off, run some errands, maybe eat some lunch or whatever, and kind of see how it lasts, so I can give my final thoughts on that as well as the rest of the things I've tried today. Okay, first impression is that I absolutely adore this bottle. I love this so much. It's so sleek looking. However, I do think there should be more product and less lid, but that's just me. So, oh, fingers crossed that this works. Okay, I'm loving the applicator. This is really easy to use. Okay, first impression is it is a little bit streaky, so I am a little bit disappointed. It is streaky. The colour doesn't seem to be settling very evenly. It's not quite dry yet, so maybe when it's dry it looks a little bit better, but it is a little bit of a streaky application, so you may have to apply one layer, wait for that to dry, and then apply a second layer just to give it a more even coverage. but it's quite light on the lips. It's very comfortable to wear. So I'm going to go away, run some errands, and maybe eat some lunch and things to see what it's like longevity wise, and then I'll be back to give you my final thoughts on all those products. Okay, so it's been 5 hours now of wearing this makeup, and I've got to say I'm very disappointed in the Urban Decay liquid lipstick. I'm so sad about it. It isn't long wearing at all. I ate some food and it all came off, so I've had to reapply it, but now that I've reapplied it, it's gone very like cracky, and I don't know if you can see that. Like it bleeds a lot and it's all kind of cracky and stuff, so so disappointed by it. It's fine if you want to wear it for like an hour and not do anything. So if for like photos and things you could wear it, but it is streaky and it doesn't last very long. So definitely disappointed with that. With regards to the eyeshadow palettes, definitely not worth the $65 that I paid for it. The matte colours aren't very pigmented. The textures are, so you're literally just paying for the textured shadows, not for anything else, because the payoff on the rest of them, it isn't great. Not for $65, you'd expect a lot more, but the texture shadows are great, so you're definitely paying for the textured shadows. So yeah, a bit disappointing in that. So really, out of everything I tried today, the only winner chicken dinner was Tom Ford's eyeliner pen. This is amazing. It is so matte black and it doesn't crack. It's on there, it's really good. I've been out in the wind and the rain, I went and ran some errands, I walked my dog, so that is so matte, so pigmented, and it's long wearing. It's great. I mean, I've been out there, it's about 40-50 mile an hour winds today. And there has been some rain and some mist, and it's not nice. But it's lasted really well. And that eyeshadow primer's worked really well. I mean, I love their formula anyway. It was a little bit more sheer than the usual formula, but I still loved it. So yeah, I just think it's really disappointing, especially on that palette, because I wore a white eyeshadow base to really bring out the colours and they still didn't pop very well. So I think, you know, disappointing on the palette, disappointing on the lipstick, but Tom Ford's eyeliner is a winner chicken dinner. I adore this. It's totally worth the $40 I paid for it. It's fantastic. Absolutely love it. So thank you so much for joining me for this first impressions video today. I hope that you enjoyed it. If there's anything in particular you think that I should review in the future, please write it down below in the comment section, or at least come say hi. If you do like this video, please leave it a thumbs up and hit that subscribe button if you want to see more from me. But remember, you're going to have to hit notifications, otherwise you won't be notified when I upload. Until next time, have a fantastic week ahead of you. Bye!